What's up? Okay, so this video, I'm gonna talk about uh, toxic masculinity. I felt like it was time for me to address that because I feel like that's what society is having to deal with now. I feel like that this topic is like dealing with toxic masculines. I do believe is a hurdle that society has to go through, and it needs to be addressed because so many people are suffering due to toxic masculinity. So, what is toxic masculinity? Toxic masculinity is an obsessive need to dominate and control every environment, and every person within every environment that this toxic masculine goes to. So, what are some examples of some behaviors or ideals that expose toxic masculine energy? Well, for starters, it would be ideals would be like some forms of bigotry, like homophobia, misogyny, and even I feel like at times being xenophobic also counts. Showing a intense dislike or even hatred towards a group of people that this toxic masculine refuses to get to know and understand. Coming to a mutual understanding and a mutual agreement on how to treat a person. Toxic, someone who is in their toxic masculinity, it doesn't matter if they're a man or a woman. Someone that chooses to embody toxic masculinity will go out of their way to disrespect a person. It could be for any reason. It could be envy, greed, pride. It's many reasons why toxic masculines will go out of their way to disrespect somebody. Um, and then, with having to dominate a person or with needing to dominating, to having the obsessive need to dominate everything and everyone. A lot of toxic masculines have what would call a God complex, or should I say, a Luciferian syndrome, if you will, because a lot of them know that they're not God, but they will play the role of Lucifer in order to, I guess, prove a point to everyone else that they are either God or godlike. But it's very unhealthy. Um, and a lot of so what are the examples of behaviors in which a toxic masculine will flex their negative energy and their emotions? Well, a lot of the times you will hear on the news or even witness yourself a man, for example, putting his hands on a woman or raping a woman or assaulting a woman, um, disrespecting the kids, refusing to be there for the kids, um, treating the children with disrespect and contempt. Those are just examples of a toxic masculine and their behavior. So, what people would you consider being toxic masculines? Well, for me, I would say, Donald Trump, Charlie Sheen, a lot of, gangster rappers are just, uh, gangbangers, gangsters, period, display toxic masculinity. And even some, um, police officers, corrupt cops display toxic. I'm talking about the corrupt ones. I'm not talking about good cops that do their job and protect people. I'm talking about the toxic ones that, will pull you over and shoot you for reaching in your glove compartment to get your insurance and your papers. Those are just, behaviors of people who have toxic masculine energy. People who feel the need to dominate at all costs, even if you're killing a whole bunch of people. Even if you're destroying the lives of so many people, you have to dominate every environment at all costs. Yelling at people all the time to put them in their place, to scare them into doing what you want them to do. That's an example of toxic masculinity. Cheating on your wife, your loyal, faithful wife, with 100 different bitches just to feel better, just to bust a nut. That's an example of toxic masculinity. Leading someone on with promises of protecting them and providing for them and looking out for them and never following through, or promising to help take care of the children and pay child support and never following through. That's definitely an example of toxic masculinity. Using your physical strength or your power and influence or money to dominate someone and put them in their place. Isolating a person from family and friends and any form of support to have complete control over their life is definitely an example of toxic masculinity. Emasculating someone is a form of a toxic masculine energy. And so, what do I mean by emasculating someone? Well, everybody on this earth is born with, excuse me, masculine energy and feminine energy. There's supposed to be a healthy balance between the two. Now, because we're living in a patriarch society, which is an example, I feel like patriotism in itself is toxic masculinity. Yes, it is. It's toxic masculinity. Very toxic. Very, very toxic. Why do I say patriotism is toxic masculinity? Well, if you look at nature, if you observe scientifically, you scientifically observe animals. No living organism functions functions well in a patriarch society. If you ever noticed, if you study any behavior of any living organism and they um, have the father as the head of the household, none of the family members survive. The father may survive if lucky, but none of, first of all of the human beings and the animals, first of all, would have to be forced to allow the father to be the head of the household. Why? Because that's not how nature intended things to be. Let's just keep it real. If we're going to talk about science and we're going to talk about true history, we're going to talk about psychology and sociology. It's not natural for the father to be the head of the household. Just like when a child is dying and having their last breath to call out the father's name, that's not natural. Usually there's something wrong there. So you would have to force animals and human beings to allow the father to be the head of the household. Just because the father is supposed to be the breadwinner and the protector does not mean that they're supposed to be the head of the household. There's a difference between being a leader and being the validator, being the one to have the last word and have the last say. You feel me? There's a difference between being the protector and leading the path versus being head of the household. Okay? All children, whether animal, insect, you know what I'm saying, marine animal, human being, they all follow the mother. All of them. If we're just going off of nature, without politics, without Scientology involved. Everybody is going to follow the mother, period. That's how nature intended things to go. That's what the spirit, 9 times out of 10, will guide the body to do, is to follow the mother, always. Toxic masculine energy is to undermine the mother, to take away her power structure and to take away her mind, take away her intelligence, to undermine her strength and take the woman's place. That's toxic masculinity. Okay? Any animal, you can look up any animal group, any family, any living organism. They all follow the mother because the mother is the provider. The mother provides food, the mother protects the children, the mother provides wisdom, the mother establishes boundaries within the family, within the household. That's not the father is not the one. The father finalizes it. The father enforces it. The mother is the one coming up with all the plans and all the ideas and all the strategies. It's because the mother is the authority, not by nature. Okay? And toxic masculines will go out of their way to undermine the woman's natural functions, the woman's needs, the woman's flaws, the woman's insecurities, blow it up on social media and make her look like either a hypocrite, a bad person, a slut. Toxic masculines will go out of their way to disregard and disrespect anything that appears to be feminine or that comes from a woman. Go out of his way to disrespect women in general just to be in charge. Toxic masculinity is to go out of your way to be oppositional to the female or to the motherly authority of living existence. Do y'all understand this? So this is why a lot of politicians who are white men, 'cause this is just the majority, because not all men who are in power who disrespect women are white men. But let's just look at the numbers, okay? A lot of these white male politicians, why do you think they're going out of their way to attack the mitochondrial DNA and taking all the energy from that mitochondrial DNA? Huh? Why do you think that toxic husbands, abusive husbands, siphon their wife's energy? Why do you think they're doing that? Because toxic masculinity is to intentionally refuse to acknowledge the mitochondrial Eve gene as being the dominant species of this entire planet. Okay? Toxic masculinity is to do research and find this information out and commit genocide on women using religion as an excuse to get away with it and to avoid legal charges. That's toxic masculinity. So, using the Nation of Islam to have multiple wives, to plant your seed in hopes to have a son, to pass your godlike complex on to by naming him Junior, and then flexing on the woman and making it seem like she ain't did shit when she washed your drawers, wiped your ass when you couldn't walk, took care of your seed, had to look at them children and be reminded of you, still honoring your legacy when all you did was disrespect her. That, ladies and gentlemen, is toxic masculinity. So a lot of people are talking about it these days. I've noticed. It's about time. I mean, people been talking about it, but society haven't hasn't really been as confrontational when it comes to these type of topics for understandable reasons. Women used to, when women tried to speak out freely like this, we got killed, we got raped, some of us came up missing. Those were the times we was living in, and it wasn't too far away from now, the present. They still doing this now. Yes, a lot of men who are in power will go out of their way to shut a woman up so that they can attack her strength. A lot of toxic masculines will do this. Someone that is in a healthy masculine energy does not need to hit below the belt in order to win. So, what are my theories as to why toxic masculinity exists? I mean, that's a good question. Um, I think the reason why toxic masculinity might exist is because there's a power struggle. Just like, with white people, how they, use eugenics and gentrification and biological warfare to prevent us from, you know, overpopulating the earth. Because what does people of color being here on this earth coexisting with you and not attacking you and your family have to do with you feeling threatened or feeling like your entire gene pool is going to be wiped off the face of the earth? What does us coexisting here in harmony and peace have to do with the European species fading away? If we're not harming you, we're not stopping you from reproducing, even if it's due to incest. What does that necessarily have to do? What does us just coexisting have to do with you feeling threatened? Because racism, white supremacy is a form of toxic masculinity. Oh, yes, it is. Why do That's my question. Before I answer the question I just asked, I have to ask, why is it necessary to dominate every environment when the world is big enough for all of us? There's so many empty buildings, empty, you know what I'm saying? So many cars in the car lot. When they selling cars, there's so many cars that are in the car lot. People can't even afford them no more. So why is it necessary to completely dominate people's lives and dominate the environment when you have enough? You got a house, you got a car, you got a family, you have a steady income, you have a life, you have a career. Why is it necessary to dominate every environment that you're in when ain't nobody bothering you? That's the question I want to ask. And then I'll be able to better provide an answer. Why is it necessary to completely dominate every environment when this world is big enough for more than just two people? Why is it necessary? Is it about greed? Is it pride? Is it envy? What is it about? So why do I think toxic masculinity exists? Well, I think I kind of already gave the answer, but I'll repeat it. Because a lot of uh, men have systematically blocked women from receiving the same education that they have received. Because before the school systems existed, women were forced to stay home and take care of the kids while the men did whatever, explore and invent stuff, right? It wasn't like this before colonization. Before colonization, women and men had equal responsibility. It's just women were more in charge. That was a difference. But when the colonial times hit, women started being more and more oppressed, and they had to completely depend on the father of the household, the man of the household. So whether it's the oldest son or the father or the grandfather or the boyfriend, whatever, because of patriotism due to colonialism. Patriotism would not exist without colonialism. Even during the colonial times, there was still a monarch government. Due to colonizing every continent on this planet via human trafficking, that's how patriotism was able to thrive. So, why do I think that toxic masculinity exists and why it's at an all time high? Because people are becoming more educated on just the truth in general, human behavior, the way we think, the way we move, how we're likely to respond, why people do the things they do. We're becoming more aware and more educated as to why, things are the way they are. So, who do you think is going to be the most impacted emotionally by this intellectual growth? Men, because men for hundreds of years, maybe even thousands of years, were so used to having all the power, are so used to having everything they want, all the women and all the money, the riches, the power, the opportunity, the authority. Men are used to having that control and power. So when you take that power, that control, that authority away from really anybody, it don't have to just be a man. It could be from anybody that's used to having that power and that control. How do you think they're going to respond? They're not going to respond too well. They might even throw a fit. Not everybody's going to take it well, take it like a champ and be a good sport about it. Some people are sore losers, especially when their character is attached to the power and authority that they have over others. This is just facts. So when we're talking about toxic masculinity, how do you think a toxic masculine is going to respond if he feels like his authority is being questioned? How do you think a toxic masculine is going to react if his power or his or her power is being taken away? How do you think they're going to respond? How would you respond? Especially if the power and the influence that you have, it influences people to ignore your character flaws and just accept however you treat them. Old habits die hard. That's just basic psychology. Old habits die hard. And when you take away someone's power, even if it's well deserved, that person might not take it well. So how is a oh well before I move on, another reason why I feel like toxic masculinity exists and at why it's at an all-time high is because, you know, the way things are going right now, I kind of sense it being kind of like a battle of the sexes. And I feel like we've been going through this battle for quite some time. How long? I mean, it's always been that way, but I feel like colonialism has always kind of made masculines and feminines, go at war with each other and try to prove who's better. But I feel like, masculines have taken it to a point where they've allowed, pride, vanity, ego, and in some cases jealousy to overpower their moral codes. At least in today's society, that's how far toxic masculinity has gone. Um, to exploit someone, exploit someone's sexuality. That's toxic masculinity, to make them feel ashamed of themselves because of either their sexuality or their beauty or their body shaming somebody. That's definitely a form of toxic masculinity, and it's very ugly energy to have. And nobody likes that. It's a lot of women out there, people out there, maybe gay men out there that like bad boys, but they don't like being treated like shit. I could tell you that much. That's not cute. And don't nobody find that sexy unless they're, you know, like I said, that masochism is like to an unhealthy level, or they might have Stockholm syndrome. But nobody likes being treated like garbage. Nobody likes being dogged out. Nobody likes being body shamed, slut shamed. Nobody likes their free will being taken away from them. But those are just many examples of toxic masculine behavior. Yep, yep. That's an example. Another reason why toxic masculinity exists, if you ever noticed, a lot of well known scientists, well known historians, um, they have done like a lot of research on just like, I don't know, like archaeology. They've done research on like astrology, astronomy. Like they've done research on so much stuff, and they know, like they have like a lot of the information that's being released in the public. They've had access to information like this for hundreds of and thousands of years. So we're just now playing catch up, no mustard. You feel me? We're playing catch up. When you're used to being the smartest person in the room and you're starting to realize that all the things that people are catching up on you on, of course you're going to be jealous because you probably had to work your ass off, to find that information. But we're living in the here and now, and information should be free and accessible to everyone, not just white men. Most of us knew this information before your species even existed. You just went out of your way to use toxic masculinity to not play fair. So I believe that's why toxic masculinity exists, because a lot of men are starting to find out that they are not the dominant species and they are not the first human being, and they were not the strongest human being either. You take out eugenics right now, and I guarantee you every female species will naturally go back to her Amazonian ways. The Amazon is the strongest woman on this planet, the strongest human being on this planet. Yes, I said it. The Amazonian woman is the strongest human being on this planet. Do your research. Gladiators got their fighting styles from the Amazonian woman, the original purebred African woman. This is just scientific facts. I'm not a racist. I don't benefit out of being prejudiced towards anybody. What I go for is wisdom, knowledge, and truth. I don't care if it makes me look good or not. Because when it comes down to human progression, we have to be willing to call a spade a spade. We have to be willing to call out bullshit when we see it. Toxic masculinity is one big inferiority complex. Most of the time, it's a man expressing that towards a woman because he knows the power that she holds. He knows. Why do you think he goes out of his way to dog women out? Why do you think a lot of toxic masculine men go out of their way to dog a woman out? take away her power, take away her money, beat her down, rape her. Why do you think men do that? When you sit there and you ask this man, why you dog her out like that? Why you treat her like that? He knows why. Don't believe him when he say he don't know. He knows why he treated her like that. Don't let a man get away with that excuse. We need to stop letting men get away with that excuse. Or really just anybody that displays toxic masculinity. Why the hell you ruin this person's life when they're a good person, they're a good soul? Why you doing all that? Why you dogging this person out like that? Why you beating the hell out of this person? Why you keep assaulting this person? Why you keep trying to tear them down? What's wrong with you? What did they do to you? They know why. They know why. Because they know women on this earth are the dominant species. It don't matter what race she is. Look at any family that has a big home. What is it consisted of mainly? Women. It's very few families where it's mostly men. And that's only because the male has the more dominant species. But how often do you see that? When we're talking about chromosomes, how many of them damn chromosomes are X? Even in the male's chromos and the chromonology. The male's chromonology mostly consists of female genetics. It is only that last chromosome at the bottom where there is a mutation. I said a mutation, aka a recessive gene. So you go to these big families, what do you mostly consist of? What do you see? Women. It's not because they're emasculating the man. It's not because he drinking and he can't get it up. Because a lot of these alpha males would like to have you think that the reason why a man produces mostly women is because he can't get it up or the woman is dominating his life. No, it's because women are the dominant species. That's why the Asiatic and the Egyptians, the Sumerians, have gone out of their way to kill, or more specifically, Asiatic families have gone out of their way to kill and sell female babies. Why are they doing that? The whole entire Asiatic and European system, more specifically influenced by the Asiatic Chinese, have destroyed the female babies by selling them off or killing them. Why do you think they're doing that? Because they don't want the world to know that women are the dominant species. This is scientific facts. This is why men go out of their way to pay each other more than they pay the woman, even though the woman can provide more. Why do you think a lot of women are managers? The male is a store owner, but you don't never see the damn store owner. Well, who do you see? The store managers, the general managers, and who are they? Women. Because it is damn near biological law. The woman has this: the mind, compassion, the ability to nurture, the woman's intuition, motherly empathy. These are the attributes that women and people who practice feminine energy have. Even men who practice feminine energy have these traits. Why do toxic masculines go out of their way to prevent people from expressing healthy feminine energy? Because they know the truth. They know that women are the dominant species, and they know that anybody that embodies healthy feminine energy has the power in the dynamic. They know this. That's why a lot of them will use their physical strength to assert dominance, to feel powerful, because they know they don't have the power. Why do you think alpha males have to get permission from their woman to lead? Huh? Why do you think that an alpha male requires the woman's submission in order to enter the relationship because she is the authority and he knows this. That's why toxic masculines go out of their way to disrespect women and calling them bitches, calling them hoes, because they know that a woman can cause a substantial amount of damage without laying a finger on him. He knows that if she were to tap into a little bit of negative energy, she could destroy his body just by talking shit. Because a woman has that power. I mean, this is just the truth. And a lot of men, when they're in their toxic masculinity, they're not willing to acknowledge this. They're not willing to acknowledge this. They know this in their heart. They know. Real recognize real. Real niggas know. And men who display healthy masculine energy already understand this. This is why they treat their women well, whether it's their mother, their daughter, their sister, their wife, or girlfriend. This is why they have good relationships with women because they understand that and they don't allow that to cloud their judgment and affect the relationship they have with feminines in general. Even men who have healthy masculine energy can treat gay men with respect, even if they're not gay, because they have healthy masculine energy. They don't feel the need to dominate, they don't feel the need to put somebody down to feel better about themselves. That's what toxic masculines do. They're known for that. You see a lot of people doing that. You know, another example of a toxic masculine is Charlemagne the God. I mean, he's gotten better over time with his behavior on his platforms. But beforehand, when he first came out, he was disrespectful towards everybody, but more specifically women. He would pick them apart and bring up their trauma. That's toxic masculinity. To pick at a woman's trauma, to dominate her, that is toxic masculinity. A healthy masculine does not need to break a woman and tear her apart to make her interested in him. That's not what a healthy masculine will do, whether male or female. You don't need to break somebody down. You don't need to assert your dominance on someone to shine. Why else would a toxic masculine feel the need to break a person down? If the room's big enough for both of y'all to shine, no one's trying to outdo you. No one's trying to outshine you. So where's the insecurity coming from? Huh? Answer that. A lot of these toxic masculinities love to talk shit on the ground, love to talk shit on social media, but when you ask them the right questions, all of a sudden they don't know English. All of a sudden they didn't forgot what how to talk. Now all of a sudden they got a speech impediment. All of a sudden, coincidentally, when they're being asked and hassled. Because don't nobody want to see you dog women out. Don't nobody want to see you flexing on everybody and making everybody feel like shit. Don't nobody want to hear about your millions and billions of dollars that you got from fucking niggas over and robbing them. Don't nobody want to hear about all the bitches that you're fucking. No one wants to hear that shit anymore. You know, we as human beings, we are evolving past that. There are things in life that are more important than that, than flexing on somebody and shitting on them. Don't nobody want to see that all day, every day. You know, some of us were childish back then when we were kids, and we entertained that fuck shit, that drama. But some of us have grown past that. And it's time for these toxic masculines to grow with society, or you will get left behind because people are not going to want to see that. We all are here. Once we're born, we only get older from the day we are born. We get older. We don't get any younger. It don't matter how well someone ages. We not getting no younger. Don't nobody want to see you shitting on your baby mama. Don't nobody want to entertain the fact that you got 200,000 kids and 50 baby mamas. Don't nobody want to hear that shit no more. And quite frankly, a real masculine, a healthy masculine, does not want to see you beat the shit out of your wife. Does not want to see you jacking and robbing people when they trying to make a living. Instead of going out there and busting tables and washing dishes, you want to rob motherfuckers who's doing the jobs you think you're too good to do. That's toxic masculinity. Having all this damn money, having all these damn resources and not sharing and then bragging. At first, motherfuckers was like, damn, how you get that? That's fly. Now people are like, man, if this motherfucker keep bragging and not sharing, I'm gonna rob this motherfucker. That's what a lot of people are thinking. They're just being nice. A lot of these toxic masculinities, they don't realize the danger that they're putting themselves in by having this vain, braggadocious behavior. Johnny Bravo was funny, but bravado ain't funny. Johnny Bravo was just a cartoon. Ain't nobody say take it to a level of being bravadous. Another form of toxic masculinity is setting somebody up to get killed because you see them as competition or you see them as possibly threatening your empire when they 9 times out of 10 don't even want your position. They just trying to eat and feed their family just like you are, letting insecurity create paranoia within your heart to lead you to attack somebody that ain't even worried about you, probably don't even know you exist. You know what I'm saying? That's toxic masculinity. To play with somebody's feelings and gaslighting the fuck out of them when they are on to you. That shit is not funny. It's not cute. You know, and all the people that's laughing and joking with you and enabling your toxic masculinity and stroking your ego are going to be the ones that sink in the same ship as you. Because society ain't playing about that shit no more. People are addressing that. Why? Because people are tired of their lives being ruined behind these toxic masculines. People are tired. People work too damn hard to lose their hard work to an asshole who does not care about them. People are tired of that. Why is it that we live in this progressive society, but we haven't had not one female president? Hmm? Why is that? Why are we still living in a society where men are getting paid a significant amount more than women? Why is that? But yet women are the most successful in this country. So even though all the barriers and the obstacles that you've put in place to prevent us from outdoing you, we still do in significant numbers due to statistics. A lot of us have children and are raising them by ourselves, and we're still somehow able to be more successful. And this is not to brag, but I'm just saying, like, despite all the obstacles, nature is still providing us a way to survive without your help. What do you think that says? How do you think nature is responding to toxic masculinity? How do you think? Huh? How do you think nature's going to respond to that? How did you think nature was going to respond? Because at the end of the day, money is supposed to be, you know what I'm saying, on the trees anyway. Why the fuck you take the money off the trees anyway? Why you taking paper off the trees anyway? We don't need to do that. Toxic masculinity is to inherit the earth and destroy Mother Nature. Is to destroy her. to prove that point of being superior, alpha males. Uh-huh. When alpha males is a Greek philosophy. I'm not saying alpha doesn't exist, but it does more so, it's prominent more so in Greek culture. But the universe, I'm just gonna keep it real because I'm about to bust some bubbles. The universe caters to more specifically the omega energy, vibrations, frequencies, agriculture, construction, omega energy. Stop playing with me. I'll go there. I just don't want to shatter people's paradigms because I'm tired of the toxic masculinity too, whether it's coming from a man, a woman, or a child. The toxic masculinity needs to be addressed. And I'm willing to be bold and address it, even if that means I got to put the people on game and let them know really what's up. Nature caters majority to omega energy. Look it up. Why do you think you see the omega symbol everywhere? Why do you think that Nazi scientists only share education wise the alpha genetics to all scientific information? Lipids, they only tell you about alpha lipid acids, alpha organic acids. Why do you think they only tell you about the alpha organic acids? Huh? Toxic masculinity, patriotism. That's why. Why do you think that in school the only thing they teach about monarchy is the Magna Carta when they destroyed the monarchy in 1215? Why do you think they're only showing you that part? By the way, monarchy existed long after the Magna Carta. Why do you think Queen Elizabeth has so much control, even over the United States? But they want you to think that it stopped during Magna Carta. No, patriotism, to tell lies to the people, to uphold the masculine history, all while shadow banning the feminine history. I have nothing against, I wouldn't consider myself a feminine because I know that when people talk about topics like these, especially when women speak up, a lot of us get accused of being feminists. Now, some women are feminists. I'm not a feminist though. I'm not at all. And I personally I don't support the feminist movement. I support the definition of feminism, but I don't support the feminist movement. No, I don't. And I'll talk about that later. And then in my next video, I'm gonna make a next video called "Toxic Feminine Energy." I'm gonna talk about why I don't support the feminist movement. But in this video, I just want to strictly focus on toxic masculine energy. I would consider myself a masculine in a woman's body, but if I'm able to get down to the nitty gritty and address this toxic masculinity, I'm willing to be unbiased. And like I said, I consider myself a masculine and I have a past. I've done things in the name of toxic masculinity. And when I had that reality check, it forced me to acknowledge my own toxic masculinity. And still to this day, it's something I struggle with and I work hard to address. But it needs to be addressed because this is the only way healing can begin, at least with people who, don't know the answer. They're trying to figure out, what's going on? What's the problem? That's why I'm talking about it. This is not for people who know what they're doing and they're deliberately choosing to not change and act the same, display the same toxic behaviors that they've been displaying, and on their behaviors only getting worse. This video is not for them. This video is for people who are wondering what is the problem, or people who know that toxic masculinity is the problem, but they don't know why. They don't know how it's gotten this far, what to do to stop it, to address it. Well, how do you stop toxic masculinity? Stand up for yourself. That's one. Another way, stand your ground. A third way, strong boundaries. Another way, fifth way, independence. Sixth, proper education. Seventh, self awareness. Eighth, self love. Nine, a healthy balance between feminine energy and masculine energy. I want to make one more point before I end this video. I've seen some videos where a lot of, really beautiful women have been stalked and harassed, and even in some cases assaulted by male stalkers. And I don't want to be remissive and make the statement, but it seems like, at least with social media, exposing people's behavior, that, it just seems like, there's like the power struggle between people with it. Because I feel like everybody has masculine energy. It's either healthy or toxic. Okay, so when I say healthy masculine energy, I'm talking about everybody who does not have toxic masculinity. This could be man, woman, child. Okay, I've noticed that anybody that displays healthy masculine energy is being attacked by these toxic masculines, and it's like the power struggle seems to be at the climax level. It seems to be at the highest state right now, where you catching people on camera, you catching a lot of men following women home and attacking them for no reason. It seems like a lot of women that are getting attacked, they're being attacked by complete strangers. Strong women that are independent, that have their own platforms, that have their own money, are being attacked. Believe it or not, independent women are the prime victims of the gang stalking program. Some of y'all may not have known this. Some of y'all already knew this. A lot of targeted individuals are independent women. Why do you think that the Stasi government from Nazi Germany is going out of their way to predominantly stalk independent women, especially women of color, black women? Black women are number one at the top of the list for being gang stalked. Number two, independent women. Don't matter what race she is. Don't matter if she's religious or not. It's just women in general. But the number one at the top of the list are black women. Why do you think that is? But it's women in general. I don't want to be remissive towards any of the other women, but do the research and look at the statistics. Black women are the number one victims to gang stalking. Number two is women in general that are non black women. Number three, men who express healthy feminine energy and healthy masculine energy. So a lot of these men are willing to put their lives on the line to protect the women that are in danger. Notice these men are being stalked and harassed too. Yes, a lot of these healthy men, good men that are not misogynist and don't disrespect women and protect them and honor them, those are number three. Those are number three on the list of being gang stalked. Do the research and find out this information. I bet you'll say facts when you find out for yourself. The people who are being gang stalked, it don't matter if they're white men or it's men who have a healthy balance of feminine energy and masculine energy that are going on these social media platforms and telling their story and saying, "Yo, I was being stalked." And a lot of actually these good men are being stalked by unhealthy women who have an unhealthy amount of toxic masculine energy. Like I said, this is all the common denominator is all coming down to toxic masculinity. A lot of these good dudes, a lot of these good men who support the strength of a woman are surprisingly, ironically, being stalked and attacked by women. This is facts. Go to any man targeted individual that's a man. Go to their channel and watch who's stalking them. It's women. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a man, but most of the people that was on my ass, that was like that knew where to dig, were women. I mean, men were the ones who asserted their dominance on me, but women was the ones that was really fucking with my head. So I relate. I mean, I can relate to both experience being a black woman and being an independent black woman in today's society, but also um, having a healthy enough amount of masculine energy to where I also notice that I get heat from women too. I get heat from men and women. I get heat from men because I'm a woman, and then I get heat from women because they can sense my masculine energy. And it's a power struggle. And a lot of men, healthy men, will tell you that there's some women out there that will power struggle with you if they know that you have the capacity to treat her right, but she's not all the way there. She will express her insecurities in the form of toxic masculinity. And any man that has been there, any healthy man that has been there can agree to what I'm saying. They can agree to what I'm saying. So, like I was saying, there's this video. I'm gonna put it at the link in the description below. But the name of the video is "Women Who Are, um, I think, stalked by creeps." All of the women in these videos, the common denominator is that they're very, very beautiful women, and they're independent. They have their own money. You could tell they have money. They're wealthy. They're well off, and they have a lot of support. And these random creepy ass men come up to them and they start following them for long periods of time, to where it's extremely obvious that they are stalking and harassing this woman. Every single woman on these videos would say, "Hey, leave me alone. Don't touch me." And they would keep following her, they would keep touching her, and they would keep trying to make sexual advances, knowing that she's not interested. They knew she wasn't interested and they didn't care. A lot of them tried to pretend like they didn't understand what language she was speaking. A lot of them tried to pretend like they didn't hear her, or that she was playing hard to get, or that they didn't understand her. They understood. They either thought that their behavior was funny, or they were creeps and they were trying to rape her. That's toxic masculinity. And the videos that I'm gonna show, I'm gonna only put the link of one, but if you go on that YouTuber's page, they have a whole playlist. It's like damn near 40 videos of the same topic but different women. But if you notice, every woman has displayed the same behavior: strong boundaries and very assertive and firm, even to the point where they even were willing to get angry at this creep, because all of them said, "Stop touching me, leave me alone." And they walked away. And the man followed her into another healthy man, got involved, and stopped him. That was the only way. But even then, some of them came back and bothered her when she was alone. Like, I'm telling you, that it was a pattern. All of the women were very strong and independent and had a strong social media support base. And the men that were approaching these beautiful young ladies were creeps. It didn't matter how old they were creeps, and they gave off rapey vibes. And they were trying to do everything they could to conquer her when she made it clear that she was not interested. And he continued to make advances. It was one particular video where there was a heavyset Caucasian male that was following a young Caucasian woman, and he had been following her for 4 years. She had moved to another state and everything, and he kept following her. It even got to the point where it was clear that he was getting desperate because she didn't want his attention. She did not want his attention, and he could clearly see that. And then he came up behind her and he asked her. He was like, why do you dress like that? Are you a prostitute? Well, first of all, that's inappropriate to ask anyone that question. That's completely inappropriate. But if you saw the clothes that she had on, they were appropriate. It was just it was like a round neck t-shirt and it covered up her collarbone. I don't know if she was wearing I couldn't tell what shorts she was wearing, like if she was wearing shorts or pants, but it just based off of the top part of her body, it seemed appropriate. If she was wearing say like booty shorts or something like that, it still wouldn't justify him asking her that. He knew why he was asking her that because he was being a creepy asshole. He was trying to dig at her womanhood because he was a toxic masculine. Okay, that's just an example of toxic masculines acting out of a form of psychosis. That's now we're reaching because it's one thing to have toxic masculine energy because toxic masculinity will affect your thoughts and your emotions. But a psychosis, on the other hand, being a toxic masculine and having some form of psychosis also affects your neurological health and your behavior. Toxic masculines don't all act like that all the time. But someone who has a mental illness and a psychosis acts like that all the time to the point where it is obsessive and creepy, and this person is begging to get their ass whooped, begging for somebody to call the cops on them so that they can do time in jail. They're begging for that. They're begging for it. And some of them even go as far as to provoke someone into killing them out of self defense because they are doing too much and they're putting a person's life in jeopardy. Stalking is a form of toxic masculine energy. Sexual harassment is a form of toxic masculinity. And if it is allowed to go on too far, somebody could die behind that. Many women have died behind that. And quite frankly, we women in society, and even, gay men and male to female transgenders, we're getting tired of that toxic masculine energy. We are tired of that. We are tired of going to the police for help because we're trying to be law abiding citizens and the police are deliberately ignoring that, ignoring our needs, ignoring our safety. You're willing to tackle these scammers and these frauds and these schemers and these bank robbers, but you're not willing to protect vulnerable women out here that are getting attacked by creepy ass men that have a history of doing this to women, a pattern. You're willing to ignore that, but yet, if one of these women in these videos had killed one of these stalkers, then she would be going to jail. Huh? How is it that Cynthia Brown did 11 years in prison because she was being human trafficked, and the only way to get free from her abuser was killing him, and she did 11 years? That's toxic masculinity. Not allowing women who are victims and men, vulnerable men who are victims, to get justice and fight for their life. You know that if somebody is enslaving you and raping you, especially if it's on a daily basis, that it is within your human rights to defend yourself, even if it means taking out your abuser. That is your universal law, and the justice system manipulates people into thinking that you did something wrong when they are not willing to address this toxic ass masculine abuser. And then victim blaming. That is another form of toxic masculinity. Rape culture allows behavior like this to pass, and then blaming the victim when the victim snaps. That is toxic masculinity, avoiding accountability for dominating someone and being abusive, and then gaslighting the victim into thinking that getting angry or standing up for yourself is not the proper response. That is toxic masculinity, and people are getting fed up with that bullshit. Even men, even healthy men, are tired of that. It's bullshit. We don't want to hear that bullshit, Sharif. We done hearing that. We demand karmic justice for victims, vulnerable and innocent victims that were negatively impacted by those who made a conscious decision to embody toxic masculine energy and live in it and sulk in it. We the people demand karmic justice for from these toxic masculines, these tyrants, these dictators, male or women. Hillary is an example of a woman who displays toxic masculine energy. Yes, Hillary Clinton. Monique is another celebrity that displays toxic masculinity. Missy Elliott, another one. Yes, I'm calling out names. Yes, because when you place yourself in a position to block somebody from succeeding and moving forward, it's personal, especially when you do it on a daily basis. You make millions of dollars off of that, off of toxic masculine energy, by tapping into it and siphoning into it. It's personal. And don't get me started on these toxic feminine energies. Don't even get me started. You know, if only these toxic masculine energies would understand that when you display that type of energy, you're displaying little dick energy. If you're a man and you're displaying toxic masculinity, women are looking at you like, I'm serious. This is facts. Because even though I'm a tomboy, I'm still a woman at the end of the day, and I understand the psychology and the mindset of a woman, and I still hear, let's just say, the girl talk. Okay, because we do have girl talk. And when men walk around with that toxic masculinity, this is what women are thinking. Little dick energy, mediocre dick energy, limp dick energy. That's what we're thinking. Yes, I'm just keeping it real with y'all. If you really want to flex, if you really want to display that you got big dick energy, tap into have a healthy amount of feminine energy. Have a balance, have a healthy balance between both. Stop rejecting your feminine energy. You need to cry. You need to, go home and talk to your mama. You know what I'm saying? You need to have a good relationship with your sister. You need to go visit your daughter instead of just giving child support. You need to have a balance. You need to start asking your female friends for advice, getting a healthy perspective, having a no man to tell you when you acting up and telling you when you look crazy. Because this is how you can have big dick energy. When you have people constructively criticizing you your whole life, it builds a sense of confidence where you will naturally display big dick energy. You're not going to have that by tearing people down. That's not sexy. Even insecure women don't find that sexy. It's just mean. Narcissistic women will support your behavior, not because they love you, but because they have an agenda. They're literally using your insecurities to boost themselves up. Why do you think a lot of narcissistic mothers will support, uh, you know, the man of the household who just so happens to be a rapist or molester? She don't give a fuck about the children or you. She's just using your toxic masculinity to make some type of profit. She don't support you. She don't love you. Because if she loved you, she wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? She wouldn't let have you out here looking crazy like that. If she really cared about you, she would give you a reality check. A lot of these toxic masculines think that whoever's stroking their ego is the one who cares the most. No, the one who's stroking your ego don't give a shit about you. I'm keeping it real. Because if your mama ain't gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell you. That woman that's stroking your ego, telling you whatever you want to hear, letting you do whatever you want, she don't give a fuck about you. The one that's loyal, that's telling you some shit you don't want to hear, but is making you a better man or a better masculine if you're a woman, really cares about you and really loves you, whether that's a friend or a family member. Don't take that person for granted and don't dog that person out because they make you feel insecure. Listen to them because they can help you get some pussy. They can help you be in positions of power. They can help put some bread in your pocket. But being in this toxic masculinity will only ensure that you lose all support, all friends, and all love, and people will hate you. not because they're jealous of you. People who are targeted individuals are being hated on. Toxic masculines literally have enemies who fucking hate you. Why? Because the only thing they remember about you, raping women, beating the shit out of children, disrespecting everybody, shitting on everybody, putting everybody down, flexing the money on the gram, and ain't giving nobody shit. You got family members, children starving and shit. You looking around, everybody look like shit, smell like shit, ain't got shit, and you got money. You got all this resource, you got power, you got connections, and you're being selfish because you're afraid to lose that power as a man. And I understand that. You know, as someone who practices masculine energy, I understand the fear of losing power. I understand the fear of losing control and authority and respect. I understand the fear of asking for help because you don't want to be exploited. I understand that, but you got to make a risk, masculines. You got to be willing to make that risk and say, hey, I need help. I need your help. And if somebody exploits that, let them get karma. Don't fuck with that person no more. Let them starve if that's how they want to act. But ask for help. There's people out there that will respect that you need help and they'll help you. But don't be an asshole who blocks people intentionally from moving forward in life because you're afraid of losing that kingship. You will always be the king if you do right by people. It don't matter if you're old, you're an old fart. People will still respect you and support you and uplift you, and they'll take good care of you. But no one is going to take good care of you when you're of age if you just shitting on everybody. In that toxic masculine energy, don't nobody want to see how well you're doing when damn near everybody in society is fucking broke. All of these masculines that got money flex instead of helping the community. This is where a lot of toxic masculinities lose support and even respect. This is why a lot of y'all are getting abandoned and left out in the cold. Why people are not supporting you. They're not supporting you because they don't want to watch you brag about all the diamonds and the jewelries and the mansions and the bitches that you got, and you ain't sharing. If you ain't sharing, you ain't caring. And you out here acting like a Karen, and you gonna get the karma of a Karen. Because that's literally what y'all are. When y'all display that toxic masculinity, y'all literally out here acting like whole Karens. Stop doing that. That's not cute. That's not gonna get you laid. It's only gonna get you played. Facts.